My name is Scotty Wilson, and I work for the Florida PTAC out of Indian River State College, and we are affiliated with the Florida Small Business Development Center.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you guys are going to be in for a real treat. As always, this is game that you can use for your business, for your, all your great ideas. I have Sir, he's knighted by the government of PTAC, Sir Scotty Wilson, and he's going to give us the game and tell us why you guys need to at least, especially in the Treasure Coast, because that's where he's at. If you're not in the Treasure Coast, Google your own local area, because PTAC is very territorial, kind of like the mob back in the 80s and 90s. Don't come on this block. But he's going to give us the game on what PTAC procurement can do for you. Sir Scotty, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you, Kellen. Thank you for that great introduction there. I haven't been knighted yet, but I'm waiting. I'm still waiting. No, your PTAC, the Florida Procurement Technical Assistance Center, is located throughout the state of Florida. And for all those regions are hosted by the different colleges throughout Florida. And we happen to be hosted by Indian River State College out of Fort Pierce. And the counties that I serve include Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, and Okeechobee. So the businesses that are there who might be seeking assistance in government contracting, I do assist those. Do we overstep those boundaries? Very seldom, but sometimes we do, because some of us have an expertise in a different arena than others because of prior work experience or additional training that we've received. So I may direct one of my clients up to Orlando or down to the Palm Beach PTACs down there for their assistance, because they know more than I do about some of the stuff. And then vice versa, they may send one of their clients up to me for some of my expertise, what little I might have, but I do have a little bit. We do, all of our PTACs are funded by the Department of Defense as one of the main suppliers of funding for us. We're also funded by the state of Florida to a degree. And then our host institutions, the colleges that we're affiliated with, we have grants through them as well to cover the expenses of our services. Our services are provided at no cost to our clients. We do request that clients sign up as clients. We want that registration. And everybody's got a cash flow. How they, the bottom line is cash flow in business. Well, for us, our bottom line is we send out an annual survey to our clients, and we ask that they fill out that survey and send us back their responses, good, bad, or ugly, whatever it is. It makes me better at what I do, just to know what the individuals that I'm working with think of the services that they're getting, and what are we doing right, what can we improve on. So those surveys are important. And then in the government contracting realm, for all of our clients that do have impact, meaning they are awarded contracts, we ask that they share that information with us. We don't share the information on individual businesses with anybody. Absolutely nothing that you share with us will we share with anybody else. But what we do is we compile that information to show the success of our businesses on the Treasure Coast in the realm of government contracting. So that's what we do.
And I'll say this, because a lot of people, don't find out about PTAC until they're, so deep into trying to, fail at government contracting, and somebody tells you, or you see a video, I tell people, they don't even teach you this if you went to Harvard or Harvard, they don't say, hey, go check out PTAC. You hear a lot about SBA, you hear some about SCORE. SBA, because people think, that's where if you have your guaranteed loan, and as long as you have your 20%, people, right, and you're willing to go through the process. But PTAC, tell the people, like, why do we not know about PTAC? Like, even in high school, why do we not know about PTAC like we know about the United Way and the Red Cross?
Well, I agree with you that we have been striving to not be the best kept secret in town. I've been doing this for approximately 10 years now. And it was a challenge, or has been a challenge, to get the word out. It has gotten better. You know, we see it, we're getting a lot of referrals now, you know, like for instance, on the SAM website. And I'm going to try not to use too many acronyms here today because I don't like them any more than the rest of the people do. But SAM is the system for awards management that is a requirement for any business that wants to do business with the federal government. You have to have a SAM registration, SAM account. But on there, you know, for people that visit that website initially and don't have an account set up yet, there are links now, and they're advising them to contact their PTAC, and then that will refer them to the Association of Procurement Technical Assistance Centers for the whole nation and territories, U.S. territories, giving a listing of the PTACs that are available in their particular state or their particular area. So that's one avenue. And then I know that there have been some other, SCORE has referred customers to us in the past and continue to do so. But we've strived real hard to get that PTAC message out there. But I got an announcement for you. For the last 10 years, I've been trying to make sure everybody knows or get out and tell people about PTAC, what we can do, what we can do for you, what we can't do for you. But recently, I mentioned earlier that the Department of Defense is one of our main providers of funding to fund this program. Prior to the DoD taking over last year, it was Defense Logistics Agency. And the DoD has decided that they're going to change our name. I guess because we were getting too well known, I don't know. But no, our new name will be Apex Accelerators. So that's going to be we're going to have to get that out, and we're working on rolling out some stuff to make sure that everybody understands and recognizes what an Apex Accelerator is in the state of Florida. For now, we're still going by PTAC. So that change is coming as well. But you know, as one of the things that we do as PTACs is we do an assessment. Let's say you sign up to be a client with us and you're going after government contracting. So what I try to do is an initial assessment of your business, where you're at, how long you've been in business, what are you selling to the government, who do you think is going to buy your product? Have you given that some thought? Do you have a business plan? Because what I don't want you to do, and you talked about it earlier, is people jumping into the middle of government contracting without having a basis. And let's say, for instance, I mentioned the SAM account earlier. SAM, you can register in SAM at no cost. Is SAM an easy process? It should be, but it isn't as easy as it should be. And it's sometimes you run it, especially they changed the process last year. But anyway, you can do it for free, and we'll assist you to make sure that you get it and get it done right. And it doesn't mean initially it's going to go through right. There's a lot of ifs, ands, and but we got to do the front end load here. Make sure that all the addresses and all the business, your certification through SunBiz is up to date and reflects the same address and information that you're going to provide to SAM for your account, because if they don't match, it'll get kicked out. But that is free. You can do it for free. And I want to stress that you can do it for free. It's not going to cost you anything, but a lot of people don't realize that initially when they go on. There are a lot of predators out here on the internet that really work hard to look like they are the official federal government site. But after you go through the process of attempting to start that registration, they're going to ask for a credit card number. And unfortunately, a lot of people, now I'm not saying there aren't credible ones out there, because there are credible ones who will assist you. But again, there's going to be a fee attached. But there are others that just want that credit card number, for instance, and they might get your registration completed. But what they might also do is keep the credentials that were used to create that registration, so that when it's time to renew, and it does require an annual renewal, your SAM registration through the federal government, meaning you have to log in at least once a year, make sure everything's up to date, resubmit, and then that tells them that you're still an active vendor out there. But what some of these companies have done is they've kept the credentials and not shared them with their client, so that when it does come time to do the renewal, they have access to that. Oh yeah, we'll renew it. And again, they want that credit card number again. So just, I advise everybody just to be careful. You know, there are different things out there, and we'd be happy to take a look at anybody who's, trying to get you to do something. You know, GSA schedules, and I don't want to go too deep in that because that doesn't work for every business, but some businesses it does. And that is a tough one to do by yourself. You can do it by yourself, But that one is one where a lot of predators have gotten some serious money out of some clients, and still, after 1, 2, 3, 4 years, still haven't produced the product they initially offered to them. So that's another thing we try to do, is just vet those companies so that we make sure that you're not becoming a victim. We don't want that to happen. Anyway, we assess your business. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, no, I was just going to give clarification for those people say, what do you mean there's companies? There's companies, once you register, like in SAM, they're going to hit you up and let you know when your SAM registration, their emails, everything. It's like, they're so helpful. We want to help you. But the difference between PTAC, AKA Apex Accelerators, is never has PTAC asked me for my credit card information or any payment, not Dogecoin, Bitcoin, nothing, nada. So once they start asking for money, you know that you're not dealing with what we're talking about to help you for free 99. I just want to make that really clear, because some of these people are great. They hit you up, they're helpful, they'll get you on the GSA schedule, and you don't even have, I call it your 2 sets of books. I'm sorry, I made my bones in Springfield, Massachusetts. But when you do your GSA schedule, it's like, what am I charging the government versus what am I charging private? And it can be complicated, and it can be a headache and frustrating. And you might be able to make more money, you guys, privately. So that's why you come to PTAC, to the Apex, because they'll let you know if this is a good fit. Even on a personal level, I had a great PTAC advisor in Washington State, and Kat really, really helped me understand, things. So that's why I want them to come, flood your email, make the appointments. Yes, you got to make an appointment. You just can't, show up and expect Scott to drop everything. He has other subjects. Can you tell the people with PTAC, what do you think the most valuable thing? Because when I try to explain it and I make YouTube videos about it, it's like a football game. Until you're in it, you don't understand what it means to hit that hole. I could write it on paper all day, but when I say hit that hole, trust that it's going to be open. For that entrepreneur that's going to hit that hole, what is that, like, maybe number one thing you see people needing in the Treasure Coast and getting the most out of PTAC?
Straight answers. Getting an answer to the issue that they might be dealing with, or just if they're just starting out, are you ready? I always start out with a questionnaire I send out to the client after they register for our services, asking them several questions relative to government contracting, because I want to get a feel for what they know and what they don't know. I don't want to, a business is, some business has been in business for several years, and they're needing the SAM registration, for instance, just to satisfy a contract that the federal government brought to them. So they're in a different boat than a startup business. But anyway, we start with a questionnaire and we assess the business. Are you ready, or are you not ready? Or here's what you need to do in the next 6 months. Here's what you need to do. Even some of the certified programs with the SBA, they look at, how long have you been in business? Have you been in two years or more? The last thing you want to do, starting a business is tough enough the way it is, without trying to stack getting ready for government contracting on top of that. You got to breathe once in a while. But those are the issues that I see most often. And unfortunately, a lot of times in regards to SAM, I can't blame the client at all. They're just trying to do what the federal government tells them they need to do. But we get a hold of them after they've started the process or tried to do the process, and now they got a log jam in the process, we got to get cleared up in order for them to get it done. But I alluded to earlier, I definitely don't know it all, but I got a pretty long list of who to call to find out some of the issues. And again, I want to reiterate, no cost. We don't charge anything for what we do for the PTAC services, or our other business consultants who offer services at no cost. But getting the initial setup, Kellen, seems to be what I'm dealing with most of the time. Outside of established businesses, then we start going into different venues to get them set up in different bid match profiles, or looking at some of the small business innovation and research information that might be out there, different things. But the initial setup can be daunting to new clients, especially if they haven't been in business for very long. So that's where we're spending a lot of time.
You know, it's amazing because government contracting, it's the government. Ask anyone who goes to the VA, you know, it's always going to be something different, something, you know, when the recruiter tells you, hey, you're going to have free medical and all this, and you can always come in and we have bases, and it's not always going to be the most simple thing because it is the government. It's a big machine. You know, just like a Google, there's a lot of other parts to it, but you know, I've seen people making $15 million in government contracting and not even know what a source of SOT is. Is there, and maybe you are the one, if there's not, to create a book for all the acronyms, all the things, because I was sitting next to this guy and they were just bragging on him and how much money he made. And then they said source of SOT. And he's like, what? What is that? and here I'm thinking I'm such a low man on the totem pole, you know, a couple of $1,000s being you know, a sub. And I'm explaining this is what it is. You really want to be a source of SOT and you're the owner of the company. How do you not know this? But can you, like, where can people learn? Google is my best friend, ChatGPT and AI has been my friends for years. But for those people who, you know, they just want to know all the acronyms because they want to know an ASABU. I think I'm saying that right. I can't spell it though. Don't ask me.
It might change tomorrow.
Yeah. Where can they learn all this?
Well, I have accumulated, you know, like you said, Google's your best friend. If you come across an acronym, because I use it a lot because I don't know them all either. And every time, you know, I'll be sitting in a meeting and somebody will throw one at me, and I might have to Google it during that meeting just to make sure I don't give them some bad information. But we have here at Indian River State College, with the assistance of a couple of our marketing individuals, we put together a Florida PTAC guide to government contracting. Now, it's not going to cover all those acronyms that you're asking about, but what it does do, and I hand this out to all the new clients. And what this guide does, is you can personalize this guide. And you being in the business, you know there are a lot of credentials, a lot of passwords, a lot of information that you need to store somewhere, because if you lose those credentials, then regaining access to SAM, for instance, or any of you know, or your login.gov account, whatever it might be, if you lose those credentials, or let's say you've got an individual today who's doing your administrative side of business and they've registered you in SAM and they've made sure that everything is in order, and they've got the MP, your marketing production identification number. See, I do know that one today, MPIN, marketing production identification number, which is a number that you create during the SAM registration. But so many people don't keep that. You got to keep track of that, because later on down the road, you're going to need that to log back into your account if you want to change something. But anyway, this guide walks you through all that. And then in it, we've provided areas for you to record your credentials, and you can keep this guide. You know, you can make this password, you can apply a password to this guide so you are the only one that gets in it. But if you've got, going back to what I was stating, if you've got an individual working for you that does all that administrative stuff and they get a job somewhere else and leave, whether it's on good terms or sometimes it's not on such good terms, then they leave with all your credentials and you don't have access to those. And then, you know, more than once I've been contacted, how do I regain access to my SAM and my other government contracting accounts? Well, you're going to have to get real familiar with a notary, because you're going to have to create, you know, letters of explanation that are notarized and send them in to regain access to those. So that's one of the aspects of this document that we provide. But the other thing, it's got a link to helpful government contracting, and it covers everything from the federal side, the state side, the local side, and information that's valuable. It just provides some resources for some of the questions. So what I try to send that out so that people do become familiar with some of just stuff you're talking about, some of the acronyms and you know, the different If you're seeking state opportunities, then we have an arena in there that covers everything that you need to do to get registered with My Florida Marketplace. How to determine your commodity codes, commodity codes for state, NACS codes for the federal side. Obviously, they don't coincide, they're not the same, and you do have to determine which code identifies the product or the service that you're offering to the government. It'll help you walk through that and identify them, log them, and you have a record then of the NACS codes and commodity codes that you identified. But that guide will help answer a lot of the questions. I send it out and I say, review this, take notes, because obviously there's going to be some questions that pop up because of all the different things that you're going to be looking at. Some of the stuff that's in it might not be prevalent or relevant to you today, but a year from now they might be, or 6 months from now, or 2 years from now might be relevant. And so it's a good resource, and I think it's and we keep that link page up to date, and helps in identifying or providing you reference to where you can get the answers. It doesn't have all the answers, but it provides reference to help get the answers that you're looking for.
Yeah, I for the last decade have been a big pusher to people about PTAC. I have videos, PTAC, SCORE, and SBA. Go check them out. Usually they're in the same area, same building in many of cities. So if you park once and ask around. But I have also heard, and I have seen myself, every PTAC specialist is not equal. And I even thank you again for coming on here, because, government people say, interviews aren't my thing, or you can't even get a response sometimes from people. What happens if somebody is, in an area and they don't have a PTAC advisor that they feel is giving them the information that they need, or working with them, or even answering their calls? Are they able to go to another region? Is there any waiver and say, hey, I like Sir Scotty on the Diversified Game. Can I bother him instead of whoever I'm supposed to go to?
They can, but let's say I get somebody that's out of your area down there. Well, the first thing I do is I talk to my counterpart down, Carol Hart, who Carol and I work together, have for almost 10 years. And, I want to make sure there hasn't been a miscue in communications, to make sure that the communications have gone through okay. Caseloads are sometimes a factor as well. But to say that, no, you're stuck with that individual, you're not stuck with that individual, but if there's a problem, we want to try to work through that problem to make sure that you're getting what you need. But it doesn't mean that you can't get it somewhere else. But we just try not to do that, because our funding mechanisms are per region. So I'm funded through different sources than, like I had stated earlier, the college covers part of the funding for me. Well, down there, the college they're affiliated with provides part of the funding. So stepping outside of those regions is sometimes not looked upon as something they want us to do. Now, if it's back just looking for expertise, that's a different story. But, just like we are, almost every one of my colleagues that I know of, we are pretty inundated with clients. And sometimes we have to conduct triage I try to always reach out and say, hey, here's when you can expect me to make contact with you. In the meantime, take a look at this PTAC guide to government contracting, because it might stimulate you in some questions that you wouldn't initially have asked me. And then I'll recontact you and set up a date that we can do a phone call, Zoom, and sometimes, and if necessary, a one-on-one meeting. But when I talk about triage sometimes is, okay, you call me, Kel, and say, hey, I've got this contract or this award, not an award, but an opportunity that I want to bid on, but my SAM, I've been waiting for a month and a half for my SAM registration to come back. And for some reason, it's hit a log jam with GSA. So, I don't want anything to keep you from being successful at getting that contract. So my priority today may go back to working on something for you for a couple hours, whether that is going into your SAM account and seeing okay, what's the problem? Why is it doing this? And then sometimes we have a workaround to try to address that. You know, we contact GSA and say, hey, if the SAM registration isn't completed on time, then they're not going to be eligible for this contract that they're wanting to bid on. So that's the type of triage that I refer to. But most of the time I work on you first come, first serve. You know, I mean, we have a system, a really efficient system now that if you register to do as a client with us, then your information is sent to me once you registered. And then I have a list of everybody that's sitting there waiting on me to make contact. And like I said, initially, we'll send out that guide just so you start familiarizing yourself with the government contracting in an effort to get you started, make you think about some of the stuff that we're going to ask you anyway, and you might have an answer by the time I get to you. But we try not to let that be too long. But the hurricanes last year just killed it. Well, those were terrible ordeals, and then trying to get all the FEMA registrations and everything up to date for people. And we tell anybody that thinks they might react or respond to any type of disaster in the state of Florida, let's get all those registrations and everything done today before the hurricane hits. Because if you wait till the hurricane hits, or the flooding, or the fires, or whatever it might be, these processes don't happen overnight. So best thing to do is right now, let's get everything in order before that happens.
Oh, gotcha. And I didn't want to, it wasn't for, any particular area when I asked that question, but I've had a client say, hey, I've had this person and they're not doing what you said. So it makes me sometimes look like a liar, or that's not true. And I have no reason to lie, because I'll give you your money back before I lie to you. It's okay. The pool is paid for. And the other one is too. So we do business a little differently here, but that's good to know, just so people can't, because I'll say I'm having this issue right now in Houston, and they want to make my client, who's an attorney, they're like, we can do a direct representative, but your person has to be W-2. And I start, it's like I only speak Spanish. When I hear W-2, what's that? I've never heard that. And they said that's their policy in Houston. And I said, all we want to do is get information. And this is for small business, and not every small business can afford to W-2 someone. That's about, $4,000 to W-2 an employee. So I was just wondering if you always have to deal with your area, because when you get into these little hiccups, I don't know if Treasure Coast, if the direct representative has to be a W-2, if that policy is impact nationwide. Because I know Apex is now, they're changing their name. But how can someone like myself, a consultant who wants to help their clients, work with various PTAC advisors and not, seem like we're doing anything? We don't want to be like those other companies who are selling them something. This is just one part of our strategy to help them get into government contracting.
Yeah. W-2, that's like an acronym that I'm not that familiar. I mean, I know what W-2 is, but no, we don't require that to provide information or to provide consultants or to provide consulting. Our PTAC program here in the state of Florida has been with the SBDC since it initially became active, and Florida was one of the first to have the active SBDC and the PTAC together. So we are an affiliate with the Florida Small Business Development Center, and we work coincide, like some of the consultants and I are working in tandem with clients. We have consultants that might be providing export. We have a consultant that does nothing but exporting. We have business consultants that do nothing but cash flow, marketing, different, how to set up your website, things of that nature, all associated with the Florida Small Business Development Center. So, and I know that throughout the nation, the states are different. Some work through the Chamber of Commerce, Some of them are like us that are members with the SPDC, and some of them are standalone affiliates, the way I understand it, in some states. So obviously they're going to have different requirements that come up. But you know, I can't work with anybody out of state. For one thing, we can't work with anybody unless they are a business registered in the state of Florida. So it could be an out-of-state company, but then they have a registration where they're doing business here in the state of Florida as well. We can work with that. That's not a problem. But for any, you know, out-of-state business that isn't working or doesn't have isn't affiliated with the state of Florida and SunBiz, we can't do anything with them or for them.
Okay. And one thing, you know, the county, the cities always have something going on. PTAC, I sometimes say, where's PTAC? Where's PTAC? And again, people, who is PTAC always invited for the city and the county, or is it sometimes seemed as competition to have PTAC come out, you know, and have a booth at one of those long conferences where people are just taking, you know, papers and pens? You know, does PTAC get invited to the party locally?
We do to some of them. You know, I'll use Port St. Lucie. We're very involved down there, and they invite us down, and they actually want us to do more than just sit there and hand out free stuff. You know, that free stuff and information, we want people to have access to that as well. But you know, I recently went down there for a subcontractors event in Port St. Lucie and gave a discussion on PTAC and what we do for our clients. And that's not the first time that we've done programs like that in Port St. Lucie. And I actually have been here. I guess I've been around long enough that different cities and counties are actually contacting me, you know, to send out their information. You know, here's a bid opportunity we have. Can you please disseminate this to clients that you have there that it's applicable to? You know, a lot of times we have the cities, the counties have federal funds that they're utilizing for repair work after a natural disaster. And whenever those federal funds are being used, I mean, the city or the county are putting out the bid opportunity, but the guidelines for the federal procurement apply. So, you know, they may ask us to help them make sure that anybody that's applying or sending out a bid for bidding on this opportunity, for instance, they might have to have a SAM account, might have to be SAM certified. So we'll help them get the SAM account set up. So, and I think it just varies from city to city. You know, one of the things that I did when I came down was I contacted everybody in my region, all the procurement agencies, to let them know, here's my contact information. What can I do to help you get qualified individuals to come in and perform? You know, so we did that, and that's resulted in most of the counties and cities at least knowing who I am, so that if somebody comes to and says, "Hey, Scotty Wilson, let me know about this opportunity," you know, like we got a couple in Fort Pierce yesterday. I sent out to some of our clients, and I've gotten on their mailing list, so I'm getting a feed that way too from them. So yes, to answer your question, yes, they are all of them, not all of them. You know, every time you have, well, you know, Kellen, every time you have a change in personnel, you got to retrain them. You know, and you know, somebody retires, and I'm not saying that in a negative manner at all. Somebody retires, and so then you go back in and reintroduce yourself and try to get that rapport going again.
Well, you know, and I'll put this out there, and it's going to sound crazy, but when PTAC is ready to hit, like I go through towns like Indiatown, and I'm like, wow, you guys, you know, there's some work and some progression, and I see it. And to get the message out to certain people, you have to sometimes be where they're at. So when PTAC wants to reach certain areas, let me know. I don't mind being canceled later on because I'm not looking for approval. But if we have to go in and have the PTAC mariachi band, my company will hire them. You know, we can do everything. We can go to the clubs at maybe PTAC. You know, it's a sub thing. So PTAC, we don't know if this is going to work. So I'll be the guy they got to cut somebody's head off. It can be me, but we go after these young people who they're never hearing anything unless it's on YouTube. It has like 1 million views and it's something crazy. But, you know, to reach them where they're at, where that cerveza here, well, let's wrap that PTAC sticker on there, take that home with you, because you need to learn about these organizations, because there's a lot of money. I mean, I've seen the government, you've seen the government waste a lot of money. I've seen the government give someone $40,000. They couldn't make one tweet.
Yeah.
You know, and as a business person, and no, that was not my contract, so you guys don't ask me for any money. But you know, business wise, I'm thinking that money could have been sent so many other ways. Even Sir Scotty, he could get a raise dealing with all these crazy entrepreneurs having to teach the same thing over and over again. So, you know, if anything like that comes up, let me know. Let the people know if there is a community give back that you have not mentioned yet that PTAC does, or maybe it's going to do an event or something this year. Let us know about it, please.
Absolutely, and we do outreach. You know, through the SBDC, we've had entrepreneur days usually out of Fort Pierce, out of our main campus. We do that. But what I would anybody that and it doesn't, you don't have to be a startup to attend this class. You could have been in business for whatever. But we have a class called Start Smart. And basically what that class is, it's for our entrepreneurs, startups, or even if you've been in business for a couple of years. But what it is, it's an opportunity for them to come in and find out what resources we have through the SBDC, including the PTAC, available to them. You know, we talked about some of the other consultants that are teaching web design. You know, we've got, that's one of our most demanded classes right now, put on by one of our consultants, Leanna Haig. She's doing a tremendous job with that. We have Profit Mastery. But anyway, that Start Smart just brings, it's a one-night session, usually do it later in the evenings, and it just lets everybody know what's available, what do we have to offer you here on the Treasure Coast and Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, and Okeechobee counties. So that, and you'll get on, once you do attend that, you'll get on our mailing list, so that whenever something else is going on, and there's something, you know, it's pretty active down there. Our main hub's in Port St. Lucie at the Pruitt campus, but it's pretty active. But at least they'll be aware of that information coming out. And then any clients that I have that are registered, but we need to get out to the ones that aren't registered as clients as well, because we want them to know what's going on. So if they can do that, if they get registered with us, then they'll be getting all that information sent to them whenever we're going to have an event. And so they can go to the Florida SBDC IRSC, and they'll be able to find our website there, and can sign up for those classes if they'd like, or one of those sessions if they'd like to attend it as well.
I'll wrap it up with this. With PTAC by the pool, maybe by the beach. There's a whole bunch of beaches, you know. Again, I volunteer when that's available and that marketing. But let the people know, please, where they can reach you online and offline. And I thank you again for coming on.
You can reach me or email. I'll give you an email address that'll get directly to me. It's SCOTTY, Scotty .Wilson, WILSON, at FloridaPTAC.org. That's Florida, P as in Paul, T as in Tom, A as in Adam, C as in Charles.org. That's my email address. And the phone number to call down at our hub is 772-462-4830. That should get you in touch with our main hub in Port St. Lucie. But then the other ways,
I'll have all that information in the description as well.
Okay, all right. And you can go online to the FSBDC IRSC, and you go straight to that website. But the other thing to get information about the Florida PTAC, about our region as well as the entire state, is FPTAC. That's F Frank, P as in Paul, T as in Tom, A as in Adam, C as in Charles, .org. And that'll take you to the state website for the PTAC. And then if you are requesting assistance or if you're looking for assistance from a PTAC, whether it be in my region or if you're in Tampa or you're in Miami, there's a listing there of the different regions, and you would just select the region or the city that you're wanting to, that's adjacent to you, and fill out the form. And then you'll be contacted with one of our marketing outreach specialists, and that'll start the process.
Got you. Well, I thank you. And I thank the listeners and those viewers. Those numbers on YouTube are coming up. So keep sharing this information so people can be blessed by this game. Make sure that you share this with somebody. It will change their life. Thank you, guys. Be blessed. Let me get off the, got to get off the Jesse Jackson hot mic. 1 second.
I'm Kai Gabiam from the Diaspora channel, a lover of Africa. If you love Africa as well and you would love to visit one day or to relocate to Africa, there is a course out there for you. And this course is My First Trip to Africa, a course well put together by a seasoned traveler, Kellen Cash Coleman. This course is designed to prepare you to travel better, which will save you both time and money. And the great news is this course costs only $20, guys. It can't get any better. Go right now and enroll to this course at www.diversifygame.com. Don't miss out.